We're coming to the end of our 2 days up here with Charles at saveourtrees.org, and I had no idea what would happen. I had no real expectations. I saw the pictures. I thought a nice trip out of Portlandia, an experience in nature, would be wonderful. So we took off on our trip and landed in the valley here. To say that Charles is unique is an understatement. Our time here has been unbelievable. I couldn't have imagined the beauty of nature, the silence. I've experienced that before, but from the moment Charles walked up and said, "Hey, hi, how are you? I want to spend some time with you." We had basically 2 days of stories, excitement. I came up with the idea of shooting this little pseudo-documentary in sort of a rough and ready walk and talk as we go format. It actually happened that Charles wanted to join in on this, so you're going to hear his explanation of things. You're going to see the work he did. He's going to talk about it in his own words, and I think the film, the video such as it is, conveys just a little bit of the excitement that he generates, the enthusiasm he generates, the commitment he has, and I'm reminded of, I wasn't around then, but I'm reminded of how it must have been back in the days of the pioneers when there were valleys that were empty, and along came entrepreneuring men who built houses, who built roads, who built bridges, who respected nature and carved out a little enclave. Charles has carved out his own little Garden of Eden here, where you can come, you can experience it. He shares his stories. The stories that he shares are unbelievable. Building houses, designing houses in high school so that his parents could rent them out, going to New Zealand to escape and not have to participate in the killing of people on foreign soil, coming home, having little money, buying land, being the foreman, running a ranch at 22. The stories are unbelievable. If you weren't looking into his eyes and seeing the sparkle and the light and knowing that truth is coming out, you would think they're not true. But it's all true. It's more than you can imagine. I think everyone that longs for the simple life, the peace, the friendship, the open hearts, needs to come and experience this. It can give you a whole new perspective, or it can make you feel that living in the middle of madness that's come about today, surely I can be happy, I should be happy, but it's not working. You come here and you understand you're not crazy. There was before and there shall be after all of this passes a new beginning, and this is a great place to experience that moment. To begin our July 2013 3-week road trip, we came up to Charles Bello's Redwood Forest Institute and stayed in his Parabolic house. We're going to do a short film here where we show you the house. We walk around the property, show you various high points of the beautiful place he's created up here, where you can come and relax and not hear the traffic, enjoy the beauty of nature, the sounds of animals. So not a lot of narration, Just kind of every picture tells a story, don't it? We basically just have walked around the house. Here's the original heater, couch, fireplace. Now let's go outside. Here's one of the amazing old growth stumps. Two of them actually. In the background it sounds like Charles is motating up the hill to his house. Alright, let's go. I'm not sure how the audio quality and video quality of all this will be because it's sort of, what do you call it, cinema verite. There's the solar panels and garden. We had some tomatoes last night from the garden. Here's the front of the house. I think I'm getting it all. There we go. There's the beautiful house. Gorgeous glass all around. You sleep with glass at your back and you sit and eat. Charles' little buddy. He goes all over the property, and I think we're maybe going to get a ride in this a little later. Actually, this is Charles.
Yeah, you bet.
Hi, Charles.
Hi.
Say hi. All right.
Yeah.
This is his beautiful gallery that he has constructed out here on his property, and we're just going to walk through the gallery. Yeah. He's going to tell us a few things.
Well, I'm going to tell you right in the beginning, you're seeing this window. Well, the window was square. Everything else is in the roundish forms.
Mm-hmm.
So, and also I wanted an introduction to my work, so I created this little stick thing to kind of introduce you to the gallery.
Cool.
Then instead of steps, I made pedestals, and we got a spiral, and we got the Fibonacci spiral. And we try to create things of nature, the flower, and so we try to create a step that has some meaning and some relationship to the rest of the building. We open the handle. The handle, again, is just this was not put in its right form. It should be like that. And it's a piece of manzanita stick. And we try to keep everything in the natural form. Then this is a Dutch door, but we often open it as a full door.
I think we're going to be awe-inspired simply by being in the presence of the building and the artwork. So lead us in.
So here we go, and the building was the result of the sculptures because I had no place to put them. So I thought I had to build a gallery in order to display the sculptures, otherwise it wouldn't be a building. Now the building was the main object, so the sculptures are secondary to the building.
Hardly secondary, but
yeah.
The building is amazing.
Well, the main thing here is light, and for the display of these sculptures, we wanted to have this kind of soft lighting, and it turned out absolutely gorgeous.
What is the piece in the center?
Well, that's these most of these pieces have some relation to the human body and human form, and what I'm studying is line form and shape. And this line, as you see from there, this line right here, if you were to follow your eye from top to bottom and seeing how the shape folds, it folds in and out, and it just gently. My whole philosophy on this art is to keep it very soft and gentle. I like things, I don't like dramatic, I don't like sensational. I like things to be comfortable, so when you leave, you feel good. You feel real happy and good. This is the kind of feeling I like to...
Good energy, positive,
right.
Harmonic. Yes.
So there we are.
Let's just take a little close look at each of these pieces. Do you have a favorite piece in here, perhaps?
Well,
or
there's several.
Is that not possible?
Again, as we just spoke about fun and whatnot, here's a slipper. It's a high-heel shoe, and there's kind of a cobra leg, and then I got a little bird sitting on top of the head.
Playful,
so it's fun.
But
playful.
Sort of sensual as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, this is a water fountain. This gives me the inspiration of having a gush of water coming down, folding out over, and a second gush going under. So there's two waterfalls going in two different directions. That could be a really amazing waterfall.
Yeah.
This one here is a cradle where a child is being cradled by the mother with his arm. It's kind of a very soft and kind of loving, caring kind of form. My wife was dying. This is in her memory. She was a choreographer and is standing in this position. I tried to capture the movement of the body and space.
It almost looks like two dancers.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They're two partners. She's the feminine, and this is more the masculine part of the dance. So this was the very first one. You talked about sensual. You just have to touch that. And if that's not sensual, there isn't anything that's sensual. Isn't that something else? I mean, the touch of that is just awesome.
Gorgeous.
But you know, here, again, this is the very first one, and it's only 5 years that I've been doing this. This is all new.
Wow.
What happened, I like to vignette things. So I like to have the contrast of the rough and the natural with the finish. And the two kind of complement and also accentuate each other. So here, this is a line that's very, very beautiful. Again, like we were talking about the big one. It's a very beautiful, sensual, human kind of line. As you go across, there's movement coming across, and then you have another line, which is really kind of pleasant and sensual all the way around.
And the textures of the wood accent that too.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
this is this
The
way,
grain.
and down here is
Exactly.
almost more.
This is more like, you know, the human body kind of below the waist sort of thing. The waist would be in here, more or less. But it's not necessarily to be so.
It's open to interpretation.
That's exactly.
Yeah, each individual
And, you know,
subjectively gets something from it.
The point is, this one should be in motion so that standing where you are,
so it's on a turret.
you can see the
movement.
rotation, but it should be much slower than what we're doing.
Right, sure.
So someday I will set that up in rotation. These are spirals. Spirals are kind of interesting to me. This is the contrast of the really, really rough with the smooth. The chainsaw marks, something happens, I leave it. This looked very pretty, and there's another one on the backside. So what we try to do is whatever happens that accentuates what we're trying to do will be allowed to exist. So you have to kind of be willing to allow what's happening to be a part of and not really have a preconceived notion.
What's this one over here?
Yeah, this one here.
That's a little different.
Yeah, this is basically it could be interpreted as a human element that's kind of reaching out.
Diving almost.
Yeah. It's a very touching sort of thing. Now, this one here is a spiral, and it's a root. All of these are from redwood roots. All of this is redwood.
The roots of the tree.
And then what's interesting is that the core that came out of here made another sculpture there. And the core that came out of here made the sculpture there.
The big one right there, right?
That was upside down.
Oh, yeah.
So basically, every piece of wood, like Michelangelo said, that if you take a stone, every stone's got a sculpture. All you have to do is carve away what you don't want. And the sculpture's within the form.
There you go.
So basically, that's what every piece of wood. I can show you. Now, we're going to go from here into necklaces. From scrap pieces that came off of here.
Oh, so you're doing wooden jewelry from other parts. So do you use
from this stuff?
You use the entire piece of. If you have a piece of wood, do you try to use everything from it?
Not everything, but if there's something that's attractive, why waste it?
Yes.
Try to find a use for it. And jewelry for small items can be used, and they're basically miniature sculptures.
Yes.
That you can wear.
Perfect.
So that's a reclining figure here. Now these are kind of interesting. These two, I call these redwood lovers, and they can be put into different forms. Now the two of them here, and you can see if you look, they kind of relate in their movement and their shape. And then if you could put them where they're kind of walking back together, and then if they get angry with each other,
Yeah.
they could face the other way.
Well, it's when they're together like that. It's called spooning, Charles.
Yeah,
okay, you know,
spooning.
spooning. That's it. You're
Right,
wrapping
spooning.
yourselves around each other. Yes.
So now the other thing is that I intend to do about 6 or 8 of these, and then they can be put in a dance where you can create, the audience can create their own dance. It could be a line dance, or they could create a circle. So if they want to experiment and try to create a different kind of design, they could put a series here in different shapes. And
So
different
an
spaces.
idea with the music background that I have would be to have about 8 or 10
Yeah.
of these on a stage and have lighting
Yeah.
with music playing.
Yeah.
And then you could actually black it out, stop it, move
Right.
it, and create a performance in
Yeah,
stop
exactly.
motion. Yeah.
It'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
So this one here, I wanted to
I love the
emphasize
texture
the
on
grain.
that.
Yeah,
That's
this
beautiful.
is sandblasted, so the design and the texture could come out. And
You
a lot of things-
sandblasted that?
Yeah.
And that's how that...
Well, the hard grain is winter growth. The trees have rings, and the winter growth is the hard grain, and the softwood is then ground out with sandblasting, so you get to see the configuration of the grain more predominantly. This one here is, I call it the cathedral, and it sort of has some elements, some windows, and sort of a cathedral sort of spatial thing. This is just a little shell here, and these are just for
Yeah,
fun.
this is not wood. What is this?
This is jitterbugs.
Oh, okay.
And they're not really art in a sense, but they are fun. And so every time a person sees the gallery, we end with these things.
This is like mechanization at work
Yeah.
as opposed to
Yeah.
nature, right?
Yeah.
It's symbolic.
Yeah.
And you just leave them with a
That's
little...
a happy thought.
It is.
Every children, grown-ups, old
Oh, yeah.
folks, they all think of these. Look at this little character, kind of
Yeah.
naughty. This is a hula dancer, and this guy's an old man like me. He's just kind of poking along.
Wonderful. All right, next.
Yeah, we're going out to another
Okay.
thing.
Here we are at Charles' workshop, where the artwork we just saw was mostly created, or all of it was created
of
here,
it,
Charles?
right here.
Okay, he's going to give us a little idea about how he conjures up the
Well,
muse.
there's a couple things I want to state here before we really get going on this. Is that one thing that's here that's remarkable, actually, is that we never hired help. My wife and I put everything you'll see. It was done just by the two of us. Once in a while, some friends came and volunteered. Wow. But everything was built, and there was bare land when we came on the land. There was no water, no roads, no bridges. We built 5 concrete arch bridges.
You and your wife?
Wife and I.
Wow.
Yeah, over a 43-year period.
When did you first come to the land and begin living on it?
In 1968.
Okay. You
In
remember what
May,
month?
huh?
May 1968.
Yeah, we came from New Zealand. We were 2 years in New Zealand. We had immigrated to New Zealand in order to avoid the Vietnam War and trying to avoid our children to be conscripted to be
Right.
killed. We don't want to raise children to be sent into
Children
the
are not
military.
meant to be killed. You're right.
And so, but when we got to New Zealand, we built a house there. And when we got there, we found they were kind of afraid that the domino theory, they were afraid that the Asians were going to conquer them.
Either that or
so they had a
2
contingent.
Americans come, 25,000 American comes, and then what happens to our country?
Yeah. So anyway, we came back, okay, from New Zealand, because actually, as guests, we were treated very, very well. But when we were permanent residents there, we were in the South Island, a very conservative area, and the people really didn't. They called us. Let's see. You people are. What was the term they used? Uncommon.
Huh.
You folks are uncommon.
Well, in a complimentary
Well,
way,
it was-
Charles, I would say
No.
you are uncommon.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So and they were doing it in a
And
complimentary
it's
way too.
complimentary and sort of humorous and
Yeah,
so forth. Okay.
So
yeah.
anyway, here's the workshops. My wife and I again put all this together, and here we are now. This is This workshop part is for maintenance of equipment, fabrication, for doing projects, and machines and all the tools and oils and so forth are here. While we're looking here closely, these are two sculptures that are under construction or under development.
In process.
In process.
There you go.
And so just to give you one little idea, this one machine here can cut a piece of steel. This is railroad iron. Now the concrete bridge that you crossed over, instead of, we use all recycled steel. That cost $3,600 to do a $250,000 bridge. And it was all done with recycled material.
Whoa.
Yeah, and this machine right here, it's a bandsaw. And that cut, now the steel I bought from the railroad as scrap iron for $5 for 33-foot lengths of this railroad. The train actually travels right across it.
That's part of the train track, right?
Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
But it shows you how beautiful. Actually, this is
the texture of the steel almost has a texture of wood in it.
Well, it also, the shape.
After you sawed it.
The shape is quite interesting in itself. And it's, you know, it's all designed for structure. So anyway, that's the shop here, and it's always hard to keep things in order. But,
well,
if you're
looks
working,
remarkably organized.
So this is the welder, generator welder. This is like 28 years old, and I've done hardly anything with it. The only problem I've had was about a month ago, a bat got into the...
A bat?
A bat and shorted out the circuit in the... I thought I had burned up wires. I was burning up a bat.
It was a burned
instead.
up bat, feathers and bones and
it was
beaks,
smelling like burnt wires. So anyway, these are all things, tools, projects.
What is this used?
That's acetylene, welding.
You use it for what?
That's for cutting metal and also for brazing and for soldering. I use it.
Did you forget your lunch here one day or what, man?
Yeah, that's my corn.
It looks like it's becoming petrified.
Yeah, well, I was saving. No, this is how you plant it. It's dry like this.
Yeah.
This will grow into a kernel. Each kernel would make a cone. What's this called?
Cob, corn on the cob. A cob.
Each kernel,
a head of corn.
You know, this is something significant. Is that nature is just profuse,
and they're economical. They don't waste.
Oh, and everything is designed in a way. But the point is, if we don't control, like it's either feast or famine.
Yes.
And if we don't control the oversupply, like human beings, there's going to be a problem, or there is already.
Let's not talk about problems. What else do you want to show?
So anyway, so here we've got the equipment. Now, that's a dump truck for fixing road. That's a bulldozer that'll go right up that mountain.
So you and your wife were driving the dump truck?
Oh yeah, she drove it, and I was shoveling rock. We've got a huge. We have taken out probably 75. No, it's more like 7,500 yards of rock.
And this
that's a D6 cat.
Yeah.
And that will go right up the mountain. I use it rarely, but that can do a ton of work in minutes. But see, every tool, every situation, it's not the caterpillar that's going to do good or harm. It's the person that uses it. So everything's a tool, and it's how you use the tool as to whether you're beneficial or you're destructive. This is to give you an idea of what I start out with when I do the sculptures.
Raw materials.
These are pieces that have been picked up on the road where somebody has built a bridge or dug up, and they're like 1,000-year-old wood, but they've been in the ground like 100 years without growing and without rotting. They're very hard, very, very usable pieces.
And that turns into what we saw in the gallery.
That's right, exactly.
Wow. And we're going into what is this?
This is the woodworking shop.
Oh, wood shop. I took that in junior high school, man.
There you go. Now, my wife and I built this whole thing. We built a whole dome, and we poured all the 250 sacks of cement went into the floor. There's 30 panels. We did one a day for 30 days, and we got this could polish up into a dance floor. We even thought of possibly making a stage up there. The stone wall that you see in the back.
I see that, yeah, that's yours.
That stone wall, I had 13 friends come up, and that whole thing was done in 5 hours, start to finish. Unbelievable. I never thought we could do it.
I believe you because I know you wouldn't lie, but it seems like that's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yes.
So anyway, here we've got, these are jewelry pieces.
Oh, this is the jewelry.
This is jewelry. See, I'm picking up little scraps, and I like the little worm carvings, and they are very polished and smooth on the back side. You might want to look at it. Then I'm doing some that are really kind of, that has a kind of a human figure, but it's all kind of in the rough. That one. And then I'm doing some things that are more like this. So then I'm trying it. I'm experimenting with all different kinds of. I kind of prefer the rough with the smooth. There's these. Now feel the texture and feel the weight of that. Very, very light.
That sort of thing around the neck now is real fashionable.
Is it?
Yeah. Oh, they've got like hangings of. They're all metal. It's not wood though.
Well, see, the beauty is so light. It's almost like a feather.
It's unbelievably light.
So then you don't have this huge thing dragging it down. So these are all pieces that are. This is just a little figure that's kind of cute, and it accidentally came and I saved it. And then I've got little dinosaurs-like things just
there
for
you
fun.
Go. That's the one that didn't exist or they named wrong, the brontosaurus. It's not that brontosaurus. I don't know what it is.
And
right?
so,
these apatosaurus, excuse me.
All of these pieces are potentially sculptures. All this stuff is just scraps from the gallery. Now, this is a hairpiece where no, not that one. This one. See, this is a potential hair piece where you can put a pin through it.
Yep.
And then gather the hair.
Yep.
And you would wear it on the back. And I don't know.
You need to grow your hair out before you could wear that, Charles.
Yeah, I can't.
And it would also work to do that with a scarf.
Yeah, you could you run a scarf.
Scarf pin, yeah.
So anyway, well, even this one, you could run something through there if you wanted to, anyhow. This is kind of a whole. I've been doing this a couple of weeks. Oh, that is a funny.
That looks like some
I laughed myself
ancient creature
silly.
or something.
Well, it's all for fun. This is a bird-like. He's sticking his tongue out.
Oh, okay. From that perspective.
Yeah. And so then he's kind of crazy. He's got a little eye here.
Yeah.
And he's got all these wings.
That's gorgeous.
And I created a texture kind of like feathers around him.
Yeah.
There's just tons of stuff here. Some of it's, I had to take the table away and I don't have a place to put it.
And now
Here.
You have a sawmill too, so you have
right.
of course milled all the materials
material.
for everything in addition to
Is that right?
the carving and the jewelry and the roads and the bridges.
So there's a bunch of pieces here that are kind of interesting. One, this is a spiraling bird here. It's all dusty and really needs cleaning up, but it's kind of coming out and the bird is spiraling and a little bit bird beak on the top. This one here, this has no finish on it. And you have to touch that texture of just raw wood. It just shows you what kind of a fineness of texture you can get. Just from but it's very, very hard. It takes hours and hours and hours of hand scrubbing to get that. So, some of these, again, they're different forms. I don't find these terribly exciting, so they're here. This is sort of a mushroom shape, but it also can be kind of a little creature.
That's cute, yeah.
So there's many ways. All of these sculptures can be viewed in different sides, different ways.
everything that you have created has a certain sense of architecture to it. You must have a background in architecture.
Yeah, I started out building houses when I was in high school. I built 3 houses while I was sophomore, junior, and senior year.
Construction work.
I designed and built them.
Oh, okay.
And my father had land, and he saw my energy, and he thought he'd take use of it. And he owned them and earned his living off the rental from the houses that I created for him.
Wow.
So then I went to Cal Poly. It was a technical school at the time, and it was hands-on. And I went to the personnel department, and I asked them, I said, look, I don't want to be an architect. What I want to do is get all the courses I want to be a builder. And I want to get all the courses that are going to help me to become the best builder I can come. And so anyway, I wanted engineering. I wanted architectural, and I wanted codes and related, construction related. So anyway, what happened was that the counselor was all favorable, and I went up. He said, just go up to the architecture department, tell them what you have. In 2 years, you can have all of that and go home. So I got up there, and the dean says, oh, no, we don't do that anymore. You have to take the full course. And so being a young man, not knowing, I says, well, all right, I'm here. And so I followed whatever they asked me.
Let's do it, huh? If I got to do it, let's do it.
Yeah. So then I signed up for the regular architectural engineering.
Okay.
And I got a Bachelor of Science degree in that.
Now, one thing I noticed about this was it's all harmonic. What are these little red things or orange things?
Yeah, now I have one in my hand.
Okay.
And it's got a nut bolted to the back side. And these little red things actually, as we look up there, they actually hold the boards, the Redwood boards, in place. And they screw on the nut on the bolt that's extending out.
Okay.
See, and you just do that, and by hand, then the board is sitting behind it, and that keeps it from coming.
A clasp of some sort, so it's not just the wood and the bolt, and it can't corrode and rust and then fall, but that holds it in place.
That holds it all in place.
Because every board has those. At what interval? All the way across? 6 feet, 8 feet?
Yeah, they're about 16. No, they're at about 12-foot intervals, 10, 12 feet. And then some of them had a wire. See this one here? But very rarely.
I don't know that we're actually picking up the wire, but yeah.
It's up there.
And they're bolted to other beams in between.
So that's how it works.
Now, did you study in Italy, or I mean,
Tell me the story about I graduated from Cal Poly.
Okay.
And I was sort of there were 26 students in our class. Yeah. There were 26 students, and I was probably out of 26. I was probably number 20, and so I completed the course, and then I went to work for architects in San Jose. And they had me copy drawings that were stolen from some other architect. And I thought, did I study 4 years to end up?
They were borrowed, Charles, not stolen.
He cut the label out and had me.
Okay, all right. I think the statute of limitations on that is expired now.
So anyway, after 2 weeks, I found a replacement for me from one of the students that I knew was looking for a job. And so then I went down to L.A. and I knocked on the door unannounced, and Mr. Neutra, Richard Neutra, was ready to go to Europe. And so he met me in the patio, and I told him that I wanted to apprentice with him. And he says, why are you here? And I says, I'm here to learn. And he kind of liked that. And so then he didn't say yay or nay. He took off for Europe, and the next morning I show up in the office.
He left without you. Oh, bingo.
And so I walked in, I told the guys, okay, I talked to Neutra yesterday, and I'm here, give me something to do. And so Sergei Kushin, an aristocrat Russian gentleman, really, he took me under his wing. He loved me. And Benno Fischer was a chief. He was a refugee from a Russian. He was Jewish, and he was a refugee from Poland. These people Neutra had picked up, we were living in his personal home. This was not his big office. This was just a group of small people that we worked together with. And so anyway, I just immediately, I had skills. I was a very good draftsman, and I was willing to work 16, 18 hours a day, and I was working for free.
Hey, yeah, they love that. People love that.
Anyway, so Raymond was a teenager at the time. This is the son of Richard Neutra, and we became very good friends. We went to Hollywood Bowl together and all kinds of things. And so later, we lost track. Raymond became a doctor, an environmental doctor, and he's retired. And about 6 years ago, he came up and saw what I was doing, and he made a story too about my association with his father. Oh. And he's going around the world now collecting all his father's structures and putting them in kind of a book, and also they're already on the web, but he's kind of making them into a story or something.
Okay, Charles, in 1968, you came up here with your wife, Vanna Ray, and there was nothing but stumps, no buildings, no roads, no bridges, and you have, in effect, created some sort of a Shangri-La in the Redwoods with beautiful architecture, new trees, and everything. Over 40-plus years. 40-plus years of your life you've devoted to this. Just turned 81. Congratulations. You look wonderful. You're vital and alive. How do you see this being preserved for the future, for others to appreciate, to remain a non-profit, and to be shared with people in the spirit in which you created it?
Well, there's also the children. When we came on the land in 1968, we could not believe that we were going to be able to put this together, and it turned out that little by little the whole thing was happening, and it was just like magic. Nobody wanted this land, so we picked up 240 acres for $45,000, and so we never felt like we were going to be owners of the land. We always felt like we were given the gift of taking care of this and being worthy stewards. And so that was right from the get-go, that was how we looked upon our life here. The land had no value because the lumber, the original forest was all cut, almost clear cut, and the small trees had no value because they were still cutting large old growth trees. In 1975, which was 10 years later, the small trees became valuable. So then it created a problem where if we were to be deceased, my wife and I, the land would have to be sold in order to pay estate taxes. So what happened is that we decided to give shares of the land to the children as a gift within the legal limits, and they ended up owning 36% of the land by 1980. So normally people will take a life insurance policy out to cover these kind of contingencies, but we didn't have the money to pay for life insurance. We didn't have money to pay for health insurance. We didn't have the money to pay for any insurance. So we took at risk, and the only way we could kind of save the land for the children was to give them parcels to reduce the tax consequence in the event of death. When we came on the land, we immediately gave the land a name. We picked up the name C-H-A-R, Charles, and V-A-N, Van, and we combined the two names as Charvan, C-H-A-R-V-A-N. And when our children were born in 68 and in 70, the two boys, we gave them both the same middle name. We were trying to, it's Mark Sharvin and Michael Sharvin Bello. So the idea was to combine the land and attach the children, and like parents, we always want to hope that our children will follow our footsteps. Well, our children grew up so independent and self-reliant that they decided they didn't want to continue with what we started, and they decided they wanted to go out in the world, and at 15, they left and went mainstream. We did homeschooling, and they've been financially independent since 15 years old. And they had all the skills I had at 15 years old. So they had jobs available to them when other people were unemployed because they were skilled. They didn't go on to higher education. So as time went on then, the land becomes more and more valuable. And one child was married. It was understood that he had to get a prenuptial in order to protect us in the event that he should die and then the spouse would remarry, and that was taken as an offense to the daughter-in-law as a trust. And so there became a real battle between us where they did not sign the prenuptial, and our attorneys told us that this was really bad news because it was et al. They had a right to the whole land, and they could come in and just make our life miserable with that arrangement. So we had lawyers write to them and all, and finally they felt that we were making them separate what they wanted to commingle their own assets, and we were separating their assets, and they made a big issue of this. And finally, they quit claimed they quit claimed their right to half of the 36% that was given to them at that point, and that's been a bone of contention all along. So we were talking about.
What's your vision for the future?
Yeah, this is where we're going now.
Big scale, above and beyond the legal things.
Yeah.
What would you want this to be?
Well, we're looking now at a picture of perhaps 20 to 50 years from now. Mm-hmm. As what do we want to see this? Where do we want to see this property? So we have been doing vacation rental, and the response to people coming here has been absolutely astounding. This is kind of a Shangri-La that is just not available anymore. And as populations increase and as traffic and noise and pollution increase, people need a getaway. And almost without exception, every person that comes here, we almost change their life with the way they respond to the property, to the latest one called it "Everything Here is Art," and that's basically what it is. The nature, the sculptures, the buildings, and they come here and they leave with a sense of restoration and refreshment and carry on in their lives. So now, where are we going with this? We're entering now what's called the second phase, what I label as the second phase of the property. It's been a one-man show up to now. I have been the director, the board director. My board has been a rubber stamp board. The whole thing, I paid all the expenses. I raised all the monies, the funding. But now it has to go into another phase where I have to kind of allow the board to take more responsibility because it's taking up all my time. And so also I would like to see this, I would like to see the nonprofit function while I'm still living, so that upon my demise there isn't a can of worms here. Mm-hmm. So the whole object now is to look into legal aspects and try to slowly or as fast as we can put this into another form where it's no longer a one-man show, but now a board is governing. The other thing that we need to do here is what we represent here, the most important, excuse me for, I just want to now say that the most important aspect of what the future lies for this property is in education. We're focusing now on taking children in as groups from probably 6th grade level on up to 10 or 12 and doing a overnight campsite. Workshops. There would be half a day of intensive identification of plants, fauna, forest ecosystems, and then a half a day for play and recreation. And I feel that recreation and education are both very, very important, especially if they come out on the property here. Mm-hmm. So we're focusing now with Waldorf and Montessori schools and private schools that are similar. And I have a person on the board that's supposed to be dealing with different people on that. The other thing that we are here that's really important is that we only have, right now we have 400 acres. And we cannot change the environment with 400 acres, but we have the ability to make a model and show a model as to how the forest should be managed for the benefit of future generations. We have to focus on the children and the future generations if this is to survive, and those of us who are becoming more elderly, we have a duty to help and to preserve and contribute, because as human beings we are consumers and all we do is use up natural resources. We have to now start thinking of putting something back.
So you're working for posterity's sake at this point in time,
well,
to
also,
educate and to perhaps influence management of, Department of Agriculture management of the way to actually make it all work.
Well, yeah, let me address that precisely. The commercial industry manages 240,000 acres around us for the purpose of investment and so I have been asked. I've been on KGO radio and also KPFA. And I've often been asked, is there a meeting ground between the industry and the environmental? And it turns out they're both extremes. We represent the middle ground.
You're an island.
What we want to do here with is show a model.
Yes.
We're a model as to how it should be done. Now, on our 400 acres, we have 4 different management plans. We have areas that there is to be no human intervention so that future generation can walk into this Big Tree Canyon is what he call it. And this is all in a conservation easement. It's all in a legal form. So that no intervention, human intervention in this pristine 5-acre plot. We have 2 of them that are in the easement. We've selected 1,000 trees that are never to be cut, so that giant redwoods have a potential of being
here in the future.
Yeah, it's a restoration. Mm-hmm. See, we have preservation, restoration, education. We talked about recreation. Those are
the four pillars of what you're hoping to.
So in the
have happen.
Yeah, in the management plan, we also have to look at fire prevention.
Yeah.
So we're looking now the ecosystem. We're looking at the fisheries in the river.
If you'd like to have this transformational experience for yourself, you can contact Charles at the Redwood Forest Institute, savetrees.org.